Breakdown, where we explore the partnerships, ideas, and strategies shaping the future of business and technology. I'm your host, Kevin Busza, owner and COO of Profound Technologies. At Profound, we design and build audiovisual environments for collaboration rooms in Microsoft Teams and Zoom rooms, to executive boardrooms, auditoriums, and multi-purpose spaces. Today's a little bit different, and one I'm looking forward to. Joining me today is Tim Walters, founder and CEO of Boomcloud Consulting. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Boomcloud is a managed sales and marketing firm focused on helping organizations build predictable, I love that term, scalable revenue engines through structured sales systems and disciplined marketing execution. This is a great presentation. I hope you have interest in hearing what we have today. What makes this conversation especially interesting is that Boomcloud isn't just a company that we work with. They're actually a vendor and a strategic growth partner for Profound. So Boomcloud actually works to help us build our sales organization. Tim works directly with leadership teams to bring clarity, structure, and consistency to growth initiatives, something every business struggles with at some level. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. Yeah. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to have a conversation.
Sure. Tim, let's start with your story. How did Boomcloud Consulting come into life, and what inspired you to focus on sales systems and revenue growth?
Yeah, so thanks, by the way, for having me here and asking that question, because that's obviously a fun question to answer. So I've always loved sales. I've always been in sales. And so that was a passion of mine too, like you just mentioned. Always wanted to start my own business, but never thought I was the kind of guy that was going to create the next application or the next, big idea. And so it really came to me when I was working over at Sabre. So when I met you, when I was at Sabre, I was the director of sales for a mid-sized company. So they were about 500 employees, which is large, but I was in a small division. So I was in a division of 10 to 15 people, and I was the director of sales, but I was also the one who was driving the website. I was also cold calling. I was managing the salespeople. I was doing all these different areas that make up a sales infrastructure, but I was just one person. And so over 2020 and COVID, when I had a little bit more time on my hands because I wasn't driving the clients and everything, that's really where I thought, well, you know what? I think I could help people with this in smaller businesses as well. And started with smaller businesses, but we work with larger companies now. But really it was and it started from technology too, I bet there's a lot of tech companies out there that are passionate about their technology, but they don't necessarily know what they need from a sales and marketing perspective to grow. And that's where I got the idea. And that's where I just started asking some folks, hey, how about you bring me in and I'll consult with you on your CRM, on your sales process, on what you're doing for cold calling. I was always a big believer in cold calling too. I still am. Mm-hmm. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but all of that as part of the sales, function is important when they're growing, and a lot of it gets forgotten about in the early stages of a business because they just don't want to do it or they don't know how to do it. So that was where I really came up with Boomcloud, as those folks started saying yes to me. And I'm like, okay, I think I might have a business here where I can help people with sales. And that's really what the original business plan was.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we've worked in other capacities with, I'll say, companies similar. They're not the same as Boomcloud. There's things that differentiate you, and that's why we're working with you now. But what I like about you is you're here in the United States.
Yeah.
Because we've worked with formerly we worked with a company, I believe it was out of the Philippines. It was called Callbox, and it was a somewhat favorable interaction, but there was a pretty significant language barrier, and for that reason we just didn't think it was giving the product that we were trying to bring across to our customers, and so we like working here domestically and being able to have native English speaking, folks being able to support us.
Yes.
So tell me about, with the Boomcloud offering, what all is available to customers interested in working with you? Yeah.
So real quick on your comment there, there's two things we always get asked. One of them I never thought would happen, but the other one I've been very bullish on since the start is, where are your cold callers and are they humans?
Yeah.
And the are they humans one was the one I wasn't expecting, but it truly sets us apart right now.
Totally.
So yes, we build the team here in the United States, which was important because we can train them here. They can come to the office, and I believe that folks it works for customer service if you outsource it to overseas, but for sales, they need to be able to articulate what our clients do, and I think that's important. And they're humans. So the three areas that we offer right now, three different buckets, and really it's all designed because we want to grow with our clients. We look at our clients as partners, as long-term partners. We don't want to just hop in with a client, say we're going to set 15 meetings in 1 month, pay us $3,000 and move on. Like that's not who we are and what we want to do. So we have our cold outreach offering, which is our volume email campaigns and our cold calling. But then we also have and do a fair amount of CRM work as well too, which I think is super important for predictability and for growth for companies. So we're a HubSpot partner, but we've also worked within other CRMs as well. So we will implement, onboard, and manage CRMs for clients. Because salespeople are notoriously terrible at tracking their activity in CRM, so we set it up in a way to make it easy. And then the final piece is sales training and sales management. So the majority of our team has been in leadership sales roles in the past, and so we can bring that aspect to clients as well. A lot of times companies are growing and they don't need a full-time sales manager or full-time sales trainer, but they could use it from a fractional perspective, and that's where we help them as well. So those three buckets.
So talk to us a little bit about what you see in common with those that are using Boomcloud. When they come to Boomcloud, what are the common challenges, or what are they looking for that your overlay seems to solve or improve for it?
Yeah, so it's really two different things. So I'll answer it from a small business perspective, and then also from like a mid-market or larger company. So from a small business, what we hear is almost the same thing every time, which is we tried to hire a salesperson and it didn't work out. Yeah. We hear that all the time because what typically happens is
That's
small
funny,
business.
Sorry to interrupt, me and my business partner joke about this. Me and my business partner would have just like chosen properly, or maybe met Boomcloud a while ago, we could have retired by now for the money that we spent on sales guys that did not work out. And I'm sure you hear that a lot.
All the time. Well, and it's a huge risk for, not risk, it's a huge expense for a small business.
Oh, significant.
So and it can set you back a couple of years, and we hear that unfortunately, and a lot of times it's not always. So sometimes it is the salesperson, but I'm a cheerleader for salesperson. So like, but it's also it also could be you're just not set up to support a salesperson yet either. So we hear that all the time.
That's
it's
true.
like, hey, a couple of years ago we hired a salesperson. They didn't sell anything for 18 months, right? And that's all we hear the same thing.
Right.
And so immediately I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that because that's not fun. But then as we dig in and say, okay, well, what are you doing for marketing? Well, we haven't gotten there yet because they're a founder who has gotten it to a certain point and they know they need to invest in sales. So their immediate decision was hire a salesperson.
Right.
The problem with that is, so we used to talk about this all the time at IBM. You look at 3 salespeople. Out of 3 salespeople, 1 is a rock star. You can leave that person alone. They crush it. They hit their numbers. The second one is coachable, and they might be under their number, but you can get them to your number. So like you can really work hard on that second person. The third doesn't perform.
Right.
If you're a small business owner, you have a 33% chance of hiring the person that doesn't perform, and so that can be a challenge. So why we've built our services the way we do is to help them get ready to hire a salesperson or support that particular salesperson. So that's why, like, when they come to us and they say we tried salesperson, it didn't work out, that's when we dig into how are they set up from a CRM perspective? Are they just using spreadsheets? What is their sales plan? And then a lot of times that sales plan is, well, I'm in 50 networking groups and I attend one-on-one Zoom calls and networking events. Like, so they're not doing anything else outside. Networking is the easy thing you can do.
Right.
They're not doing anything outside of that. So that's where we come in. We put a plan together. Okay, well, here's the cold outreach plan. We're going to do that. But what separates us from other, like, I hate the term lead generation, but we do lead generation, so I try not to call it that. Sure. So we do the cold outreach, which we call it cold outreach. But then what we are also asking them, and what separates us is, what are you doing from a channel perspective? We love the channel, I know you guys
we're
do.
huge in channel sales.
It's I don't know why folks fight us on it, but it is it is the best secondary sales strategy, or maybe even primary sales strategy.
I
you can
agree.
have.
It's kind of like a 1 + 1 = 10.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. You can build you're building out your sales team without having to hire a full sales team.
Right.
So
Huge lever.
it's awesome. So we talk channel, we talk marketing, we talk networking as well. Make sure it's focused networking. So we like to talk to them a little bit about the strategy as well, and what they're doing outside of just cold outreach. We handle the cold outreach for them, so it's getting done, but then we're finding out, or then we're kind of making recommendations in the other areas. So that's where the small businesses come to us. Is they're growing, they know they need to grow, they know they need to invest in sales, but they probably shouldn't hire a full-time person yet. And then the larger companies, where like I would put you guys in that category because you have a sales team. Mm-hmm. So the companies we work with that have sales teams, typically when they come to us, it's because they either tried to build out an internal like inside sales team, and it's just tough to keep those people around. It's just the nature of the job. You're making hundreds of phone calls a week. There's a lot of churn. So there's that, and they feel like, okay, well, let's just outsource that function. So there's that, but then also they'll come to us because they want us to take advantage of the tools they've bought, because their salespeople are great salespeople, being out in the field, going to conferences, closing deals, but maybe they're not using Zoom Info and Apollo and Sales Intel. Like you guys, a lot of times those clients will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on sales tools that just want to make sure that you're making good use out of them, and we can help in that area. And so that's where, like similar to what we're doing with you, is we'll call on those leads that are in HubSpot, or we'll call on the leads that are coming in from Zoom Info or the intent leads, because it's probably not the best use of your salesperson to do that.
Question for you: when it comes to some of the mid-sized organizations, and I can say a page from our notebook is that we were trying to put too much on the salesperson, and I don't know if that's kind of what you're saying about the person's been there 18 months and they haven't done anything. What we ended up doing was stratifying our organization. So business development is that kind of cliche tip of the spear, and then our account team is actually selling. So basically business development is value proposition, and follow up, and then account team is finding a particular customer that's interested in applying our value prop to that specific opportunity. How often do you see with some of your mid-market customers that maybe their organization is such that maybe their sellers are doing everything, and that's partly the dilemma?
Yes. So that is the dilemma, I think. And the larger organizations we work with that have the sales teams, they're hiring, I guess it would be your account team in this case, they're hiring salespeople because they have experience in that industry, they know how to close deals, they're probably paying them a decent amount. And so, but then, those sales folks, they have their book of business maybe, but then them or their sales manager is asking for tools. Mm-hmm. So then it's, hey, can we go out and buy, I don't want to pick on Zoom Info, but can we go out and buy Zoom Info, right? Right. But that's not a cheap tool.
Yeah, 30, 40 grand.
It's expensive, yes. And so the sales manager who gets a budget to go and buy it, they want to make sure that they get ROI out of it. And then you're left with giving a license to your seller,
right,
who is, maybe they're not, but then they have to do administrative work. So then it's, I have to build a prospect list. I have to see the intent feature in there. I have to build an email campaign along with these, contacts that I'm finding in that tool. And they have to nurture them. And there's a lot of build and a lot of time.
While they're also trying to sell.
And so what always gets neglected is that part, the build.
Which is huge.
Yes. Yeah. And then that's where we help them, but also like where organizations like yourself do a really good job is you pay attention to that top of the funnel first part of it to make sure the leads are coming in for the salespeople. That part is so important, because then if I don't know if you ever were a direct seller in your career. I think you might have been, definitely. Right? Yeah. So the nice part is when you're so busy, you're just closing deals. You're meeting with clients, you're closing deals, but at some point you close your deals or you lose them, and then you're back to square one again. And so you're like, you have a good month, right, and then that next month you have nothing. Yeah.
Clear the slate.
Yes. Exactly right.
That's where pipeline's so important.
It's so important. Yes.
So when you're talking to some of your prospective customers, let's just say when they're uninitiated, they don't yet know, what are some of the things you kind of demonstrate or show them? And you have good case studies, but this idea of you scaled a sales organization by creating pipeline, by targeting this many, and how that turned into, this many meetings and this many opportunities. Take us through, someone comes to Boomcloud and they say, well, we have sellers, but we're not really, whether they know to articulate it this way or not, we're really not minding the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
How do you kind of paint that picture? Well, we could do this, and this is what it would turn into.
No, yeah, it's a wonderful question. So where to start with that? I would say, so I'm a big believer in that you create your own luck in sales.
I agree. I tell my kids that. Like really? Tony Robbins says, when I'm a big Tony Robbins fan, which people can insult me about later, but I love the guy.
Oh, yeah,
and he
great.
says, it's all about luck. It's labor under correct knowledge. That's my luck. You know what I mean?
Correct.
People want to think about it as luck, but it all came together because I worked it out.
Exactly. Yes. And so I try telling that to our younger sales folks too. Is like, if you after 5 o'clock, you make 5 extra phone calls, every day for the next month or so, something will fall in your lap. It might not come from that phone call, but something's going to come your way. So I'm a big believer in that. No sales team, larger sales team, whatever it is, like you create your own luck in sales. And I believe, like you just said there, I believe you do that by doing the right activities. Mm-hmm. So where I see some of the sales teams that are struggling, or even just small businesses that are struggling, is they're spending their time in the wrong areas. Does it suck to make phone calls? Yeah, it does. But you still have to do it. Yeah. And so it's like shooting free throws or putting. Yeah. You don't want to practice it. Right. But when it comes down to it, that's what, those are the reps you need. And so when we talk to our clients about that, it's about creating that, you mentioned it, but we call it the funnel, right? So how many dials do you need to make on a weekly basis or daily basis to get X amount of meetings to close X amount of deals? And so where we can come in and help them is in that, well, in a couple different areas, but at least in that front part is, if you need, 10 deals a month, well, then we can take care of the cold outreach piece, and we can support your salesperson with the cold outreach piece. But then, we're not replacing them. We're just supporting the cold outreach piece. They still need to be doing the networking, the conferences, things like that to ultimately, close the deal. And so we build that top of funnel for them, which is super important, and take that work off their plate, because they should be doing it, but they're not going to do it. And so you can outsource it. And then the other piece I'll add there is help with middle of the funnel as well. So that's where our sales training or sales management comes in. And that's the piece that if they're not tracking it the right way in HubSpot, or they have a CRM and they don't use it, like we can come in and help optimize how they're pulling their reporting, and they're looking at the reporting and they're tracking it to see if there's any gaps in the sales process too.
What I like about working with Boomcloud is how you tailor the solution. Mm-hmm. I think about how each week, you're having that call with our director of business development, and the team is honing things, and we're working through, yep. HubSpot customizations, and just making sure that we have everything tailored. Tell us a little bit more about, really the high level mission of what you're trying to do at Boomcloud, and really what you want the market to understand about what differentiates you.
Yeah, thanks. So our high level mission is to help companies grow. And I know that that's very broad and very high level, about as high level as you can get. But what we mean by that is, so a lot of companies in the lead generation space, they focus so much on meeting set, which is super important. Don't get me wrong, it's very important. But they are always, we hear this all the time from clients as well, which is, if you just put me in front of a prospect, I'll close it 70% of the time. I hear it all the time.
And you're keeping notes. You're like, it's not quite 70.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, yep. And we're nice about it. We obviously we listen to them. But what they're thinking of is referrals, right? Client exactly referrals, prospect referrals. Of course, you're going to close them 70-80% of the time, which is why they're so wonderful. Which is why you should have a strategy for that. But cold outreach is wildly different. There's so much that goes into closing a cold opportunity. that is more on the sales training side of things. So what makes us different is that, yes, we want to find the meeting for you. That's always our number one goal. But what we truly care about is, like, did that deal close? And so we put a focus on, I just had this yesterday where a prospect asked me, like, well, how do you look at success for this engagement? And I said, look, I say the same thing every single time. I'm not getting out of the question, but my honest answer is, well, how do you look at success with this engagement?
Right.
And it always comes down to ROI. And it always comes down to, can we close a deal, or how many deals do we need to close to make it worth investing in Boomcloud? And that's what we tell our team about. Like, I want to know, like the company yesterday, they said, if we closed one deal out of this engagement, it's worth it for the whole year. And that's all I needed to hear. So I'm like, okay, that's wonderful. So,
Right.
we're obviously going to try to set as many meetings as we can. But if we can find the right meeting and not force people into a meeting, then that's more important. Because I've been at companies like IBM and ADP where, like, we used lead generation companies, and I would show up to meetings and the customer on the other end was like, I don't know why I'm here.
Right.
I was told I had to show up at 11 o'clock. That is not what we want, and that is not how we incentivize. No, and it doesn't help. And so that, to me, yes, meetings are an important metric because you have to meet with people to eventually close them. But our differentiator is, like, we want to find the right opportunity for you. And so we focus on targeting, we focus on the right talk track, and we make sure that the prospect on the other end knows they're showing up to a meeting to be pitched to because they potentially have a need. And I think that's what differentiates us, because companies don't pay us for per meeting set. Like, that's not really our model.
Yeah, and I agree with you. As I mentioned earlier, we worked with another company years ago, and that was what they were doing. They were just setting up appointments, and we would show up to the meeting, and the person was almost like compelled to be there, against their will. Yes. And it wasn't helpful. So now working with your company and having it so that these folks are expecting to meet with us, know what it is huge for us. And I think that that's also where, when we look at the math, the qualified appointments is really important to us. And we've gotten to that point over the years that we know how much a qualified lead costs us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then we know what are the mechanics of delivering that. And that's what's really great about, working with Boomcloud is we know the investment that we're making, we know how we've scaled the calling, and we know what we're targeting for the meetings. And the rest should kind of take care of itself as far as ROI. And it's great that you work so diligently with your customers to make sure of that. So let's talk about success stories. A lot of times, for the listeners, this is very interesting, with our agent program. I'm sure there's a lot of our IT partners and other folks that are listening and very keen on potentially talking to you, Tim. But what are some of the success stories with people that you've worked with?
Sure. So we do a lot of work with technology companies, but one of my favorite success stories is actually an accounting firm. Oh. So the reason why accounting firms are somewhat similar to some of our tech clients that we work with is accountants, this is not a jab to accountants, they are not salespeople. And they don't want to be, for the most part. Some of them are, some of them like doing it, but as accounting firms grow, as you grow in accounting career, you become a partner. And so when you're a partner of a firm, you own sales for that particular division or particular service line that you guys have. So we have one accounting firm. They're about mid-sized, about 130, 150 employees. And they have one salesperson. They're in charge of business development for the whole organization.
Oh, wow.
That's it. And then all the other folks are practitioners, really, but they wear a sales hat. And a lot of them, they're good with going to networking events and meeting people, but they're never going to make a cold call. And so we've been working with them for 2 years. They've had the best 2 years in the company's history the last 2 years. Now, can't all be attributed to cold outreach, but I'm a huge believer in, like, we turned this on for them and it continued to flow in. Now, the one piece that they always had with us was patience, which is wonderful. Not everyone, and I get it, you're spending money on this, you need it to work. They, from the beginning, looked at it as a long-term partnership. They looked at it as, we're not going to do the cold outreach, we need someone to do it, and we're probably not in a position to hire somebody to do it and train them on how to do it. And so that's why the outsourced model worked for them. So the other reason it worked, so patience, I would say, was one thing, but the other reason it worked is and is continuing to work, is because we have very specific campaigns with them. So when you think of an accounting firm, you probably think of they can do tax or audit or advising and things like that. So we work specifically with their audit division, which audits for security compliance. So there's multiple different security compliance acronyms out there. They're all 4 letters, and they do different things. But what we've done with them is we create a specific campaign for each audit that they focus on, and then have a target for each audit that we're going to go after, or prospect that we're going to go after. And so our cold callers that are calling for them, they don't need to be experts on everything the firm does, just one particular audit framework that they have, and that's been very successful for us. So we typically set, I would say, so our goal for all of our SDRs is always like try to find a meeting a week. You can find one meeting a week. We're making good momentum. We have good progress. With these folks, we're hitting that number and exceeding it, but also we also are looking for like positive conversations as well too. So we probably have about 3 to 4 conversations with a prospect that is not in need of an audit now, but maybe at the end of the year. And that's the information that we get over to the partners and the accountants, where now they have this list of folks who will buy at the end of the year. And so now the nice trend is the longer you use us, the more those conversations build up. And so now we're kind of setting the stage for the next quarter and the next quarter, et cetera. And so we've done a really good job with them, but also like they're a wonderful client too. I like to use that one because it's different from our technology clients too.
I like that. So with some of your sales training offerings, any stories about how you were able to help an organization kind of get more sophisticated, put in place some systems that you can attribute to further success?
Yes. So I think it's, like you said, I think it's more about the systems that we've been able to see folks have success with. So there are clients we work with where this is where I feel our offering on the sales training side is very valuable, which is there's the owner or someone like yourself who's the COO, and then there's like 2 salespeople, and there's nobody in between there. That can be a problem for a couple different reasons. Number one, that particular owner might not know how to manage salespeople or how to train those salespeople because they just know their business, and that's fine. But also pay them and how to pay them, and then how to motivate them. And I think motivation is huge in sales. That's why you see a lot of athletes that get into sales because they're motivated by trying to get better for themselves and also money.
Sure.
Which is fine. And so we have a couple of different cases where we then become, the sales trainer, the sales manager for those size firms. And what we do is we start by like understanding what the salespeople are doing on a daily basis. And it's not to micromanage. It's more to understand what they're good at.
Right.
What are you good at? Where are you spending your time? Tell me about it. And so we build a plan for what their goals are. And I mean that like personal goals financially, and then also we're not huge fans of the word quota. Okay. I think sometimes it can be demotivating, so we use goals.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's if you're a salesperson and your quota is unachievable, you immediately are looking for another job. It's true. If you can't get to it, it throws off your motivation. So we use goals, and we put their goals in place, and then we reverse engineer it any way you would do with another goal, which is, well, what do you need to be doing on a daily basis? What does your schedule need to look like to go and to hit those goals? And then we'll meet with them on a regular basis and do coaching with presentations as well. So to talk me through your sales presentation, what questions are you asking, how you're identifying qualified opportunities, what are you doing with your follow-up after that? Follow-up is super important in sales. It's in closing deals, it's definitely the most important part. But asking good questions on when they can buy is a part that we focus on too. Because the other thing that we also will see with clients is they'll let us know, yes, we close 70% of the deals you bring us, but also I'm good on presenting what we do. And then we hop on a call and it's just feature dumping for 35 minutes and the client never, or the prospect never said anything. So
it just lays over.
Yes. So we put the management in place, and then we'll make sure that their goals are tied to the goals of the company, and just work with them on a one-on-one basis to coach them through the different sales cycle stages.
That's good. So with part of our audience is our customers, which are glad to have knowledge from our partner network, our agent network, which includes Boomcloud, and some of them are also IT MSPs and IT professionals. What is the message from Boomcloud to, I guess, these various demographics, probably skewing towards IT companies, about what you can do to help reinfuse or reinvigorate, help grow their businesses?
Sure. My message would be, we can do the hard work in sales that you're probably not doing, either not doing or will not get the time to do, but is very important. You mentioned the amount of leads that you're going to have coming in this year through other aspects. Like not all technology companies are thinking that way. They think that, which is probably true, but we're innovative, we do things differently, we're smart with the technology. That's great. But if no one knows who you are, it doesn't matter. And so often the cold outreach piece, the focusing on forms on your website, the inbound piece gets forgotten about. And if there's message to any of the companies out there, is pay attention to it. I realize AI is taking over a lot of aspects, but it's not going to take over sales. People still buy from people they like, and so you still need to have a personal touch to your sales. And so do the outreach, do the work to make it personal, and make it feel like it's coming from a human
being.
Yeah, and if you're not going to do it, either hire somebody to do it or look to outsource it. So that's an important part.
That's good. I appreciate that. So we'll talk a little bit about trends at this point.
Okay.
And you just recently talked about AI, something I can't seem to get away from in this context, or very many contexts. We're talking about how AI is impacting our businesses. What does it mean from your business's perspective? And I know that there's AI calling features that can be built into workflows at this point. There's standalone AI calling services that we've evaluated. What, if anything, do you have to say about that, and what AI are you incorporating into what Boomcloud offers?
Sure. Yeah, there is a lot there, and of course you can't have a conversation without mentioning it. So sales and marketing will be affected by AI for sure. So the trends that I'll see over the next couple of years here, or even just right now, because it's going so fast. A couple of different things. On the marketing side, SEO is different now, so it's called GEO, right? Which is the way people are searching now for solutions or how to do things, is they're just going right to ChatGPT or Claude.
Yeah, and we track that now.
Yeah,
and internally, we have a certain amount of leads. In the last month, 4 or 6 leads that just came through. Somebody talking to ChatGPT or.
There you go. Yep.
Or whatever. Yeah.
I've gotten a few of those as well. They've asked ChatGPT for good sales mentors, and some reason my name has come up. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. But that's real, and that's how people are searching now. They're not, if they looking up an address is Google, but it's going through AI now, and so that will obviously be different. When I said we like to do a lot of those hard things in sales that people aren't going to do. Yes, it's the cold calling, but also it's the work to build a prospect list, build an email campaign, who are you targeting, things like that. A lot of that stuff can now be done through AI, which is fine and can make salespeople a lot more efficient and a lot faster by using those different tools to build prospect lists and to build email campaigns and things like that. But what I do think you'll see, if not already, is everyone will now know if you get a cold email, it's written by AI, which is fine. I mean, we're all just assuming that's what folks are saying. So it will be the importance of putting human touch on it, I think, is going to matter. in sales and marketing, because a lot of folks are just going to use the same kind of generic message with cold outreach. And so I don't think cold email will go away, but I do think you'll see some changes there where it's either going to be hyper focused on like value and like your differentiators, or it's just going to be this just mass volume, which it is pretty much mass volume right now. And like, we don't use email campaigns to expect an answer. We use them to see who's opening them, and then we call them.
Right.
And so, so I think you'll start seeing that folks will have to be more, more specific in their email and their content. And another like aspect of this is that you're just going to have to, like, if you're a marketing company or you're a sales company or a technology company, like, you're just going to have to embrace and get ahead of that. AI can do some of these things, but we have the expertise to put the marketing hat on, the sales hat on, the technology hat on top of the AI to make sure it's working the right way for you. So you'll start seeing that too.
Yeah, we've evaluated, like I said, some AI calling tools, and they're just not there yet from our perspective. We had a limited amount of time to test it. It was pretty neat to kind of test it and see how it's working, but it's not there yet. Is any of the AI developments changing, your behaviors or how you're operating? Anything you're kind of changing your workflows to adapt to it? So
yes, actually, there's a really cool, which is, I think, there now, AI like role play tools out there. I know like Sandler has one. I know there's a couple of other like individual companies that have built one. And really what that is like, you can practice cold calling with an AI, but I think that's super useful. Like, instead of getting on a one-on-one with your manager and role playing, which is always awkward and never goes the way you expect it to get, it doesn't really work, right? But there's AI.
I like that.
So the sales role play. So you can present like a demo to an AI agent, and they'll ask you questions, and you can choose different options, like make them very hard, make it easy, give them an accent. Like, so you can do all these cool things. So we're gonna adopt that with our SDRs to make them better cold callers. So that way they can practice on AI. And then in regards to some of our process, absolutely using it to be faster and more automated with how we're integrating our tools together. So what I mean by that is we use one tool to build prospect lists. We use another tool to build email campaigns. We track it all in HubSpot. We use another tool to spin up email domains. So and we're not uncommon to other organizations where there's just a bunch of tools. So what we're doing is we're using AI to build dashboards of like, what does all that integration look like, and how can we build insights that we can show to our clients that are all the different areas we're doing for them, and show them in a nice fancy dashboard. And then also, I said, like, we don't need a ton of work to actually integrate all that. Like, AI can help with that work. So that, and just be more efficient with our process as well.
Where do companies go wrong with sales and marketing?
Great question. So where I see and what we hear companies go wrong with sales and marketing is not giving enough time and not doing the actual work. And so I'll explain what I mean by that. One is, when a lot of our clients come to us for either a sales need or a marketing need, it's, I need more leads, right? Which is, yes, of course you do. We all need more leads. But they look at it as, well, I need more leads like in the next 2 months, or I have to try something else. And so to me, that's not the right attitude. The right attitude is, I'm in this for life. Sales and marketing never should stop. So I need to think through, what is my strategy long term to see compounding growth over time. And that's what the attitude and the mindset has to be with sales and marketing, with both of them. And I realize some companies have to grow faster than others. Maybe they have investors, or they're running out of cash, which is very real. And I understand that. But looking at it as, where do we need to be in 10 years, and what are the right activities that our sales and marketing team should be focusing on? Let's come up with that plan. A lot of them don't have a plan. A lot of them don't have a sales and marketing plan. They have a business plan,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have the sales and marketing plan. And so when we'll ask them, like, what is the sales plan? That's where we notice some of the things they're doing wrong. They're going to 20 different chamber events. Chambers are great, but
Yeah.
not for
bankers.
everybody. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So where we see companies successful in that area, and you guys do a tremendous job of this, is you have all of those aspects of sales working simultaneously. So you have the cold outreach, you have events that you're going to, you have conferences that you're going to, and you have a channel program. That often gets neglected as well. We tell all of our clients, like, don't cheat them. Treat your channel partners like a prospect. Yes, your job is to become, friends with them, and that's why they'll give you leads, but look at them as, all right, well, I have 20 channel partners. What am I doing each month to stay in touch with them? Am I taking them out to lunch? Am I calling them and I tell them about a new feature? That needs to be part of your day. Right. On top of the cold outreach, on top of going to events, top of going to conferences, you have to do all of it. It can't just be one of those things. And so where we see it go wrong is they neglect one of those areas, or they're focusing in on the easy stuff. They're going to chamber events and they're posting on LinkedIn. We see that all the time. I just don't see a lot of deals that are closing in that, but that's the easy stuff they can do. So that's one side of it, which is where I think they go wrong, which is they're not focusing on all the different aspects of it, and then they don't have a long-term growth mindset. Is they will try something for a month, doesn't work, forget about it, this will never work for my company. I don't think it's that cold calling never works. It's maybe we didn't have the right message, maybe you didn't have the right people, maybe that company didn't work for you. Still think it needs to be part of the plan there.
I agree. I think that is where sales organizations go wrong, is they don't put the plan in place, and then they don't give themselves enough time to execute. And I think that many of the companies are capable of that. Now, certainly there's the ones that come to you perhaps too late. They got their B fund, C fund, D fund of funding, and then they ran out of money, so too bad for them. And then there's cash concerns for smaller businesses. Yep. But generally speaking, organizations that start with that plan for sales will succeed. It's just so many of them don't do it. And, a page from our notebook, which I've shared earlier, I'll say again, is that we did not make the investment in the predictable sales model early on, but now we have. We invest over 7 figures in marketing and sales per year, and we get a return on our marketing investment of 8 or 9 times, which is superior, in an industry perspective. But underneath the armor of all of what we have is a very anxious and unaware and ignorant version of our company. Where we made a lot of mistakes, but now I think we did put that plan in place, which of course includes Boomcloud, which we appreciate working with you. And we measure everything. And I know you do because of your sophistication as an organization, how you work with HubSpot. But every single month, we clear the slate, and then we have top goal tracking where we probably have at least 30 metrics that we're looking at. And I think if an organization does that, then you pretty much can ensure success. Yep. Because you're going to get there. But a lot of times, as I mentioned earlier, sales organizations aren't sophisticated. It usually is owner driven, or there's one particular salesperson who is the rainmaker. Yeah. And it has almost like a larger than life, magical kind of feel to it, when really it doesn't need to. There are specific mechanics to sales. I talk a lot about this in our organization in a lot of capacities, but sales specifically is it's just a simple machine. There's an input and an output relationship. Correct. And all we have to do is, as leaders in our organization or leaders in the sales organization, is kind of watch the machine. Kind of like we're watching trains and we're keeping trains on time. Just making sure this comes in, this goes out. And if over time you look at that and you refine it, it'll be hard not to be successful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you called it a machine too, because we call it the same thing. You're building the machine, the sales and marketing machine, and you just keep it running. And over time, you make changes to it, but don't abandon it. And when we see that, and we see a lot of companies that come to us as a last ditch effort as well too. Like, we need leads over the next, like I said, over the next 2 months, and
Right.
if we don't, then we run out of money.
Right.
That's not
where you want to be.
That's not where you want to be. No. So pay attention to it. The numbers, you can follow the numbers if you're analytical, and that's then it'll help drive different decisions that you make with, all right, we're getting more leads in with attorneys. Let's go spend dollars at an attorney networking event, and you can use that to actually drive your decisions, which is ultimately, continuing your growth.
So Tim, you've been working in the capacity of being one of our IT agent partners. There's 500 in our organization. What can you tell us about your experience, seeing Profound in the marketplace, what we offer, to your customers and the people you bring to us?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll start with the obvious, which you guys do great work on a technology standpoint. If clients have a complex setup or they have a new boardroom they need set up, you guys do wonderful, really beautiful work. It's amazing.
Appreciate that.
And I think that should go without saying, and I'm sure all your partners say that, but I figured I'd mention that. And then the second piece, which helps you guys stand out, is working with you guys. I mean, everyone I've worked with at Profound, Kevin, Darla, Ryan, the whole team, great people. And so, the amount of success you've had from a sales and marketing perspective, but you also have people who care about your clients, is a great thing to see as a partner. I mean, I know that if I hand a lead off to you guys, you're going to take good care of that client. You're probably going to build a relationship with them. You'll probably know about their family, and they'll probably become a partner soon too. So I think the people you have here truly care about your clients, and that really, it's noticeable.
I appreciate that. I mean, one of the things we talk about here is just the importance of our company and our culture. We invest in our team. We care about our team, which is, unfortunately different than some organizations. For example, we just took our whole team and their spouses on a cruise.
Oh, that's great.
Just a great time. It was great. But, we, like I like to say, I benefit, me and my business partners benefit from our staff being in our lives. So we damn sure better make sure they benefit from being in our lives.
That's great.
And I think that workflow of caring about our people, helps to perpetuate this experience that people have of working with Profound Technologies. So when the end users work with Profound, they feel a bit different because of the way that we're trying to operate in the marketplace. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And did my wife text you about a Disney cruise?
For our agents,
so
we're working on it.
Boomcloud team, in a couple of years, we'll go on a cruise.
We'll do it. Here. That'd be great. Tim, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Growth, structure, and sales discipline are topics that every business leader wrestles with, and your insights are incredibly valuable. And as I mentioned, we work with you at Profound, and we're really glad to have Boomcloud. To our listeners, if you'd like to learn more about Boomcloud Consulting, visit goboomcloud.com or connect with Tim Walters on LinkedIn. And if you're exploring ways to improve your collaboration experiences inside your organization, visit us at profound-tech.com to learn more about Profound Technologies design and support for modern AV environments, or come visit our Experience Center where you can see through live, in-person, or remote demos. Thank you for tuning in to a Profound Sit Down. Until next time, stay curious, stay consistent, and keep building.